long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
So this is obviously huge breaking news that there is a ceasefire deal that has been reached between the Israeli regime and Hamas. This is a statement from Joe Biden. And in here, he points out that I laid out the precise contours of this plan on the 31st of 2024, May. That's not doing what you think it's doing. You think that's making you look good. That's actually making you look terrible. Because what you're admitting is that there was already a deal on the table in May, and the talks stalled. Why did they stall? They stalled because of the Israeli regime and the refusal of the Biden administration to exact any pressure or use any leverage against the Israelis. Something that so many people were saying that he could and should have done, and as you'll see later in this story, Trump did. There is a video going viral on Twitter right now of Ben Gvir talking about how he worked tirelessly to block a deal from happening this entire time. It was not because of Hamas. This headline, though, Arab officials, Trump envoy swayed Netanyahu more in one meeting than Biden did all year. This about sums it up. It does, doesn't it? So yes, a ceasefire agreement has been reached, and I cannot tell you how emotional it's making me watching the videos of the Palestinians finding this out, and all the Palestinians that are messaging me right now on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram. Amazing people and families I have come to know over the last year. Let's be clear, though, about a couple of things, okay? This deal is happening because of the incoming Trump administration. But that doesn't mean that Trump is not garbage. Okay, so let's just not lose sight of that and forget about that. Because here's Trump's statement in which nowhere he acknowledges the humanity of the Palestinians. He's just like, I'm amazing. We're going to get the hostages back. Blah, 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 blah. Gaza won't be a safe haven for terrorism and all this like bullshit. He not once mentions the suffering of the Palestinians, what they've been through, the genocide, or even their release, the release of their hostages. So I just want to be clear, because a lot of people are praising Trump for this move. And while I'm not denying that I think it was because of his admin that this happened, his incoming admin that this happened, let's not get ahead of ourselves with praise, okay? Like I said in my original video talking about this impending ceasefire, that doesn't mean that I'm not thrilled about this. Two things can be true at once, you guys. I often say that because I feel like people get so stuck in their binary thinking. It is both true that I think that Trump is doing this for incredibly selfish reasons. Clearly, he doesn't care about the Palestinians. I don't honestly even think that he cares about the Israelis, honestly. I think what Trump cares about is himself and his image, and he wants to look like the guy that can bring peace and get the deals done. So, do I think his intentions are good? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, what do we care about? We care about results and getting a ceasefire. So I am still going to be happy about this ceasefire, despite the fact that I don't think he was doing it from a good place, because a ceasefire is still a good thing regardless of his motives. Now, a lot of Democrats right now are in mega cope mode. You know what I mean? They're in mega cope mode because they spent the last year plus attacking all of us who were fighting against the administration and calling for a ceasefire, saying that we didn't know what we were talking about, that Biden and Kamala Harris were working tirelessly for a ceasefire, and that we had to vote for Kamala Harris or else this would never end. In fact, it would get worse. They've obviously had this all blow up in their face in the last 24 hours and prove that they were fucking wrong about every single thing that they said. And so now they are in serious cope mode. They are all over the internet being like, because of course you're not going to get an apology from any of these people. No. You're not going to get an apology or an acknowledgement even. Forget apologies, okay? I know people don't like to apologize, but even an acknowledgement, you're not even going to get that. Because here's also a report saying a diplomat briefed on the ceasefire negotiations between the Israeli regime and Hamas credited progress in the talks in part to the influence of President-elect Trump, saying that it was the first time that there had been any real pressure on the Israeli side to accept a deal. Trump's Middle East envoy forced Netanyahu to accept a Gaza plan he repeatedly rejected. Last Friday evening, Stephen Witkoff, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, called from Qatar to tell Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's aides that he would be coming to the Israeli regime the following afternoon. The aides politely explained that was in the Middle East, the Sabbath, but that the prime minister would gladly meet Saturday night. Witkoff's blunt reaction took them by surprise. He explained to them in salty English that Shabbat was of no interest to him. His message was loud and clear. Thus, in an unusual departure from official practice, the prime minister showed up at his office for an official meeting with Witkoff, who then returned to Qatar to seal the deal. This is the kind of dick swinging that I want to see from America, okay? Because if you are going to have that kind of fucking power the way that the Americans do, and we have known that we've always had, why the fuck haven't you been using it to bring Netanyahu to heel? Reading that story made me so enraged at the Biden administration, because this is something that the Biden administration could have done over a year ago. This ends, as we have been saying, to all the Stans, the Kamala Stans, the Joe Biden dead-enders who tried to gaslight us when we said things like, this could end with a phone call if Joe Biden wanted it to. Yeah, it could have ended with a phone call if Joe Biden wanted it to, because that's the fuck what happened when this guy told Netanyahu, be there or be fucking square, bitch, and he was there. I will also tell you that I am thoroughly enjoying the meltdown of a lot of Israeli officials and a lot of Israelis on social media right now. All the crying, all the whining, because they're upset that Netanyahu was pressured to take this deal. Good. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this here, a reminder to everybody that Harris said that she vowed that there would be no change in policy should she be elected president. And for those of you who are going to be like, Biden's still president, actually, be fucking for real. As I just went through, the only reason why this happened is because Trump is about to come into office, and because of the negotiations between the incoming Trump administration and the Israeli regime. There will undoubtedly be a lot of developments to come in this story that we are going to need to continue to talk about. This does not mean that this is over. Just because there's a ceasefire does not mean that the occupation has ended. So we must continue to talk about the Palestinians, fight for the Palestinians, fight for their freedom and the end to the occupation. So we should all keep that in mind, but also be very happy that today Palestinians can breathe for a moment because the ceasefire deal has been reached, and that is a great thing.